I've nearly gone out. Sorry, I nearly I should have got that sorted. Sharon Stone, she comes around my house, does a bit of cleaning, because she ain't got a lot of work these days. Since that film where she showed everyone her fingers, she don't get a lot of work. And silly cow, I said to her, right, it's dangerous there, right? It's dangerous. You want to get me a slip mat for there, right? She sent some dozy get round, played a load of Chemical Brothers records. No, it's dangerous, because David Beckham, right, he brings my papers in the morning, he'll be all over sitting there. I'll have Alex Ferguson on the phone going, hey. Hey, I'll tell you what I've got here, right? It's very, very important, right? If you know all celebrities, if you know famous people, they'll come round your house. Now, if they come round your house, you have to provide for them. It's as simple as that. Kate Moss, for instance. Say Kate Moss comes round here, as she often does, she comes round here, she gets in the fridge. Once she hits that trifle, whomp! Whomp! She blows out like that, she falls asleep on the couch. Always, I will make sure that if Kate... For the next day, I'll have some of that. Look at that, see? Skin cream. Because Kate likes to get up, clean her makeup off. Not like you women who sleep in it. She likes to clean it off there, lovely. Sometimes Des O'Connor comes round. Same thing, I'll have that laid on for him the next day. Here he goes, just clean himself up. That's the responsibility of being a friend of the celebrities. You see, now, what we got in here? Let's have a look. Oh, all me tea, all me different teas in here, look. Lovely. Any of my friends come round, always guaranteed a nice cup of tea. See? There it is. Just some tea bags, that's all you need from them. They're fine. Unless you get someone like Mike Yarwood, he comes round. Mike Yarwood comes round, Alistair McGowan, you'd get them for him. They're great impression tea. There you go, lovely. Sometimes the legendary Mr. John Idman, star of Are You Being Served, he'll pop round, in which case, obviously, he has his own special brand there. See? Old English. Hey, lovely. Now then, what we got in here? What's my Fanwy, my mad Welsh one-legged kitchen maid got? Well, what the hell's going on here? Well, look at that. That's beautiful. Look at that. That's Bakelite, that is. That's an old heater. Beautiful old heater there. Look, you plug that in, you get 4 bars of power, and hot. It's the Spice Girls, isn't it? It's the Spice magazine. Oh, there you go. A heater and the Spice magazine. What have you got for us, my friend? Oh, yes, very funny, my Fenway. Yes, there you go. Look at that, hot dogs. Not funny, really, at all. As it happened, you're very lucky to find me in today, because normally, obviously, this time of night, I'd be out and about. Basically, right, my Uncle Terry won the lottery. A lot of money, but you should do something worthwhile with it. He's gone completely potty, over the top. First thing he did, right, he bought a kennel for his dog, right, in Knightsbridge. And then he's got a little cat, just a little cat. He bought, you know them big houses on the side of Park Crescent, Regent's Park, bought one of them. And look at this he's bought now. Look at this. Look, a family of 5 could live in this, couldn't they? Look what it is. He's only got 2 of them, little white things. And a little ball they run around with. I'm sorry, I think it's a little bit fucking indecent. Right. Many, many years ago, before David Beckham was even born, I would say, I was up north, I was up in Manchester making programmes, and I made a programme called On Site, which, no, of course you don't remember it. Even people who watched it don't remember it. It was John McGregor in the studio and Ray Gosling outside, and they dealt with issues of the day, okay? That's basically all you need to know. It's quite controversial. It was on about 6, 7 o'clock in the evening, whenever. So, I'm going to show you a little bit of it now. And we start off with Ray Gosling. And Ray was a man who always said, all right, if you want to send me on site, you want to send me out in location, but hey, I want the glamour jobs. I only want jobs that have got that certain je ne sais quoi about them.
A private estate of new owner-occupied houses just north of Southport. And the problem here is one that may affect a lot more people. To get it right, let me read.
Now, he's going to tell you what's going on here, but I just want to give the girls a bit of a warning. If you're watching it at home with your boyfriends, all right, just try and stay cool, because they won't like it if you suddenly go, whoa, mama. So, take it easy, girls.
If you buy a new house, you really ought to ask your solicitor to get an independent survey to check that the sewers beneath the house are adopted.
Well, there we go. Yeah, and they say the full Monty is an original idea. Anyway, just tell you briefly, just to set the scene, what's going on here. I want you to, the gentleman here, on Ray's left, he comes up with one of the great phrases of my whole television career.
There are sewers underneath. The council and the water authority say are not up to their standard, and the battle is between the council, the West Lancs District Council, the North West Water Authority, and we're the little people caught in the middle.
No, you ain't. No, let me tell you something. If Big Daddy and Giant Haystacks were either side of you, you wouldn't be the little person. Right. Anyway, the great thing about this programme was the banter between John McGregor and Ray Gosling. Ray Gosling was an ordinary workaday northern working class boy. John McGregor had been to Oxford, I suspect. It was very, very supercilious, and there was kind of chemistry going between them.
Duckingfield was created by a chemical reaction, just like everywhere else on planet Earth. So scientists tell us that's how life began, by a chemical reaction. But the people in this particular part of Duckingfield fear that that's how life may end, by a chemical reaction.
Television was different in them days, though. You could get away with things being, you know, slightly more prosaic, but this was McGregor's reaction to that intro.
Yes, well, thank you, Ray Gosling. As usual, a bit emotive.
Actually, they hated each other. It's as simple as that. Just watch and enjoy.
Which means we will have to have a man full-time washing greenhouses.
Yes, Ray Gosling, as usual, you're hogging the programme. You had exactly 3 minutes, 19 seconds of film. I did ask Mrs. Hill to reply. You jumped in quickly. Can we let Mrs. Hill reply to the film and to your remarks? That is only fair. Got it?
Don't make me come out there and slap you, boy. Okay? Simple as that. McGregor, by the way, this is a programme about council houses, right? The situation of council houses in Manchester, how you got a council house, where, you know, it was all a little bit iffy, dodgy. McGregor, of course, why on earth would anybody want to have a council house in Manchester? It doesn't matter, John, will you just go and do the programme? Yes, I know, but surely people don't really want to live here. John, just do the programme.
Welcome back to On Site, where we're still trying to unravel the mysteries of waiting lists and how one gets a council house in Manchester, if indeed one wants one.
If one's not careful, John, one's going to get a smack in the mouth, all right? Just do the damn programme. Let's go to Ray.
Because we're arguing tonight about the mysteries of council houses, how you get a council house, who should get a council house, how the lady down the road always seems to get preference to you. And people get worked up about that. John McGregor, I think, is in the studio with the councillor in charge, or you should be, John, if I may call you John.
You certainly may. Gosling.
Horrible, yes, of course you may. Gosling. A little spit there. A little spit. Everything Gosling tried to do.
I'm gonna have a little go.
Right.
Here he is, bless him, very important item on motorcycle safety. He's doing his best, all right? Jarvis Cocker, by the best one.
Come on. All right. See if you can notch yourself up.
Yes, thank you very much for that film experience, Ray, though. I would have thought if you were going to argue for safety on motorcycles, you might have had the wit to wear a crash helmet.
But then again, I'm just cleverer than you. The final point came, I remember, in their relationship, as I remember it best, was Ray actually suddenly got hold of something, right, and he was right. He knew he was right, and he had these people on the spot. As a particular councillor, he had him on the spot. He was going to win the argument, and then John did something you should never do in television. Bring out a little bit of personal knowledge that he actually knew about Ray's private life, just to win the argument.
Yes or no? Were you surprised at that kind of decision?
Well, I really can't answer that question to you because I really cannot. No, because it no.
You're a human being as well as an expert.
No, well, I stop beating your wife, Ray Gosling.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I've got this book mate of mine's written, and it's too, people, you know, they go on to, look how big that book is, look how long it is, look. And to me, that could have been done in a very small pamphlet, just one page. Get a tree, chop it down, cut it into little bits, and whack a bit of sulphur on the end. You know, you don't need it's like 300 pages for that, look. Making a match. How difficult can that be? Anyway, I'll tell you what I've got. There's something I must show you. There's a couple of things I've got to show you, but one in particular. Look how I do that. I'm quite svelte, you know, the way I do that. I glide. I'm like I'm on casters. I must show you this, right? It's the same programme I was showing you last one, the on-site programme with Gosling and McGregor, but this is just one little bit, right? And I think I might be the only person in the world who thinks this is funny. Because they actually said, this is why it isn't on the same tape as the others, because they said, this ain't funny. No one's going to laugh at this.
Let me give you an example. Most of the people here are after something better. But I've got one lady with me who is after something smaller.
Who do you think it is? Which one of those people do you think is after something smaller?
And she can't do it, although there's empty property all around her. Mrs. Lee, can you come forward? Because you're after something smaller, aren't you?
I want a little matchbox, would be nice. One of those boxes that the washing powder comes in. Oh, I could live there quite happily. Where are we now? Oh, we're going to have a look at this now. This is another one of them American programmes that I made. This is some American friends of mine, some coppers, being called to a domestic. There's a domestic argument going on, something's gone wrong. The important thing, when you get to these things, is very quickly find out the facts. Find out exactly who's done what. And obviously you're going to have to rely on the person involved to tell you that. You're about to meet the most confused lie man you've ever seen.
Well, this is the story. I come home from work, and this is my girlfriend and mine in her apartment. She always tries yelling at me and my girlfriend, saying this is her apartment, which my girlfriend and her and me all pay the bills.
What? This is her girlfriend, their baby, Y-D, and also Kiss fan. Why have you got the little teardrop painted on your eye? For God's sake. And also, then he makes a terrible mistake because he admits too much to the copper.
I'm sick and tired of you. You know? You're always coming at me trying to say this is yours, and it ain't yours. It's ours. And then so she gets wild on me, and then so I throw her over to the couch, and I'm holding her down.
You throw her over there?
No. Is that what I said? Is that what it sounded like? No. When I say I threw her over there.
Well, you know, restrain her.
Restrain
her. She don't hit.
You restrain her by throwing her on the couch?
Yeah. It's not.
Yeah.
You shut up as well. No, yes, please, Mummy.
You threw me. She hasn't said, if anything hurts, don't you think she would have said it to the other lady?
No.
Right, now then, you know what you've got here? You've already got the wrong impression. Because you think he's the baddie, don't you? Because he threw her over, just restraining her. And she's looking a bit tearful. You think she's the goodie, you think she's the injured party. Well, you're wrong. So I'm going to tell you something, ladies and gentlemen. That woman is guilty of one of the most... I'm welling up now thinking about it. One of the most vicious attacks that is possible on a man.
Pointed his finger at me and said,
What's he restraining you from doing? What are you doing to him?
Because I was yelling at him.
She ripped my apron, and I had to pay $20.
Anger's too good for the bitch. She ripped his apron, look at this. Imagine calling the old bill. See that girl over there? He ripped my apron.
Why don't you open the door real quick? He's gonna puke.
He's gonna puke? You're gonna puke? Okay. I didn't get his seatbelt off in time, sorry. No, I'm not reaching my arm in there. Maybe she can turn the window down or something for you and give you a little air. There's no mess in your car, I don't think. Or it's minimal. Okay.
This is, by the way, I usually do these little funny things, but I left this in for him because fantastic bit of sarky American copper coming up.
A lot of people can't handle going to jail. They get upset, do this, that, and the other thing, and
You know, he was holding her down in the house, but he couldn't hold his dinner down, I guess.
Had a bit of trouble restraining your dinner there, didn't you, matey? Right, I just want to go back finally to my friends on site. Is that where I'm going? McGregor and Ray Gosling, okay? Ray was... John was famous for his notorious sharp wit and his rather naughty ways. Ray was a very talented man, but how can I put this without being rude to him? A very boring man. Here he is telling a story. The story is quite an easy story to tell. Hey, builders came into this house, they were supposed to do a job. They didn't do the job. It's that simple, okay?
You see, the most disturbing thing about all of this is that in each and every case, after the modernisation work had been done, on houses like this...
It wasn't done properly.
Council building inspectors came along, examined the work and certified that it had been properly done to proper standards.
But it wasn't.
So what kind of certifying is it when you spend your own money improving your home and get council money to do it, and then the builders are inspected and said to have done a proper job, and after that council inspection and the builder has his money, the house starts falling apart because the work's been bodged.
I'm sure we could have done that in under an hour, Ray. But also, don't forget, these are the 70s, right? And did you hear the word that he used there? Woo! That's going right. It's like Bill Grundy used the F word around about that. He went even worse than that, didn't he, with that dirty word, naughty word that he used. Dirty Beetle using a word like that.
Well, bodge, that's quite a strong word, Gosling.
Well, bodged was considered... Here's another strong word. Look, here's something else you shouldn't say. Look.
He's only providing the chemicals. We're talking about the cowboys who are coming drilling the walls and stuffing this thing in, and then within a matter of weeks, the wallpaper is falling off the wall again.
Just watch the language, Gosling. We can't have words like cowboys floating about.
Up in those days in Grenada, you used to say, and at 7 o'clock, there's a John Wayne film with some people and some Indians. There is one particular week which sticks out in my mind as the great week of this programme, when they did take the bull by the horns and they did actually accuse somebody of doing something completely out of order.
Councillor Fern, whether in fact when you made that decision you did take the right kind of advice. Let's clear up one little thing that happened in the week when you took the decision. Something like, I think it was Dave, you can remember.
About the £400. The week that it was in the planning committee, there was a £400 donation by Sterling's to Tameside Council.
Hey, wait a minute.
For a play area, a recreation area in Booth Close.
What are you trying to suggest, Gosling, actually?
I want to clear up the little one first.
Yeah, what are you trying to suggest? Let's
I don't see any connection between the permission we granted for this and any £400. If you're suggesting that that was a sweetener, you're absolutely and utterly wrong, and so is Councillor Hatton.
And I hope you're not suggesting that, Ray Gosling, because that's a pretty nasty thing to say.
Pretty nasty thing to say to these people who obviously went to a good school, gentlemen, am I right? that anyone on a council should ever take a bribe, how dare you? This is funny now, but back then, it was so contentious, we actually had to issue an apology, which I'll show you. This is an apology from the following week. Watch it and ask yourself, how much does Gosling really want to be associated with this apology? And how much has he been told, oi, say you do or you're sacked?
But first, I know Mr. McGregor has something to say about last week's programme.
Yes, Ray Gosling. I'm sure viewers will remember that in last week's programme there were discussions about the extension of factory premises in Tameside by Sterling Moulding Materials. The suggestion was put forward that in that argument by one of the parties at Ray Gosling's end and pursued by Ray Gosling that there might have been some connection between the grant of planning consent for the extension and a contribution for the recreational facilities by Sterling's to Tameside Council. Granada Television wish to make it clear that both they and their reporter, Mr. Gosling, accept there is no foundation for that suggestion and unreservedly apologise to Sterling's for having made it. Now, Ray Gosling, I understand that you would also like to associate yourself with that apology.
Yes, that's right, Mr. McGregor, I do.
Along with tonight's business.
Yes, I do. Let's just have a little bit more. I think we're coming to the end of their show now.
You can sit back there, the picture of complacency, Mr. Syme. But if a bucket of the sewage was brought into your office, I'm sure you wouldn't like it very much.
At all. I think he's quite concerned about the issue. He may appear complacent, but he's definitely not.
They're coming to the end of the show, and one thing we prided ourselves on in those days, you see a lot of programmes these days which peter out, don't you? In those days, they knew how to end a show. They were slick. They were professional. They were working under pressure, but they never once lost it. They were there. They were on the cutting edge, and they performed. It's just a random example of a slick ending to their show.
Everybody with any common sense at all will be very concerned about it. I'm concerned about it.
What? Yeah. Next week, we're going to come from Duckinfield. Next week, the week after Congleton. After that, we're not sure.
Tomorrow's Britcom features the fabulous Festival of Fun. Count the F's, kids. Everyone wins a point. That's featuring the Flaming Idiots and Alan George. Hurrah. Next tonight, Ellen, after Robin. Plenty of information.
And now an important announcement. On this week's edition of Still in Bed with Medinner, the suggestion was put forward by our presenter Bob Mills that there is a connection between the TV presenter Des O'Connor and wrinkly old leather. London Weekend Television wishes to make it absolutely clear that there is no connection whatsoever between Mr. Des O'Connor and